Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, I'm not usually the type of person on here to jump on the bandwagon just because something is being talked about by the whole internet and it's trending and it's popular, but I'll make an exception this time because this one, well, it's probably worth talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's this big balloon that's flying over the United States as we speak. Yes, the news broke yesterday. In case maybe you just don't get online. I know some of you tell me that you don't watch the news, you're not on social media, that basically you get your news from sources like me. So to give you an update, yesterday it broke that a large balloon was seen way up in the sky over parts of Montana, up in Billings, Montana. Some people, even some local news media, started taking pictures of it, and it appeared that there was some type of device hanging from the balloon. Now, we're talking way up in the atmosphere, higher than planes fly. A lot of people at first thought it was some type of alien ship, or, it almost looked like another planet. It was determined that this is a spy balloon. This balloon is about the size of 3 school buses end to end, and you can see with the right camera equipment that there appears to be some type of device that looks similar to a satellite that is hanging from it. And this is a Chinese spy satellite. At least that's what everyone is confirming. Even the United States military, the Pentagon has confirmed that they're very certain that this is a Chinese spy balloon that is flying over the United States. Yesterday it was all up in Montana, and apparently it is making its way and expected to fly over Missouri, my state here, this afternoon. Now, there's a lot to get into with this, and this is a strange one, folks. I think that there's definitely, I'll just come right out in the beginning and say, I think there's a lot more going on than what we see in here, because so much of this doesn't make sense. Apparently, the Biden administration, at least the reports, I'm just telling you what the news is saying. At first, they wanted to shoot it down. Generals at the Pentagon suggested that we probably shouldn't do that, so I guess the decision was made to let the thing fly, float, whatever. It does have according to experts, these things do have the ability to kind of direct their path. They're not just free floating. Because of their not wanting to cause a lot of debris, at least that's the official story. They're afraid if we shoot this thing down, that it's going to possibly injure or damage things on the ground. Now, let's just get into that one for a moment, because yesterday the Pentagon said that they've been tracking this thing since the Aleutian Islands in Alaska. Well, folks, I'm not that big of an expert on some things, but there are a few things that I do know, and one of them is that there's a lot of open space with not a lot of people living between the Aleutian Islands and Montana. Here's a map here of a possible, they don't know exactly, but possible route that it took flying from China over Alaska into Canada and then down across into Montana. And I can look at that map and see that there's a lot of places that they could have taken this thing down and had little to no risk of hurting anything down below other than maybe a few critters. So this whole thing of not wanting to shoot it down doesn't make sense. Even now, as it's going through Montana, one of the least populated states in the Union, and then it's crossing through like the Dakotas and Nebraska, Iowa, northern Missouri, still a lot of places that there's a lot of wide open spaces. And we can pretty much pinpoint where things fall from the sky. I mean, look at what NASA does when they send rockets up and they drop things. They're pretty good at pinpointing that. So don't tell me that we can't come up with some very solid numbers of where this thing could fall if we chose where to shoot it down. So this whole thing of not wanting to shoot it down, it just makes no sense whatsoever. So the decision has been made to let the thing fly, and apparently they expected that it's probably going down through the south, southeast, and maybe Florida, and then wherever. This is a foreign nation that is known to do overt espionage against us, and we're allowing it. We're allowing it. We're openly, publicly allowing it. I don't know if someone at the Biden administration or Mark Milley's office or whoever got a phone call from their superiors in China and said, let this one go or not. But this one is a strange one. We're weak, folks. That's my biggest conclusion to this. There's a few things that I absolutely despise, a liar, a cheat. And one of those is someone that's weak, true weakness, not someone that's weak because they have an injury or disability, but someone that's weak because they choose to be. And that's what we're showing right now, that this nation, our government, the leadership, the military, they're weak. I can't imagine really any other president allowing this to be shot down. And there's people saying, well, what about the repercussions, the international repercussions if we shoot this down? What repercussions? I mean, how hard is it to sell to the rest of the world that a country was spying on us with a big balloon and we shot it down? Not too hard to sell that one to the international community. But there's so much more that brings questions up, like why are they using a spy balloon? Everything that I've read, that spy satellites are much more capable of collecting intel information, and they're able to do it without really being detected. So why are they doing this? It's almost like they're purposely trying to show that they can do it. It makes no sense other than the fact that these balloons are cheaper than a satellite, but China has lots of spy satellites out floating around. So why would they do this? And now, before anyone says just shoot the thing down, I do want to say that it's estimated this thing is somewhere between 80 and 120,000 feet in the air. I don't think too many of us have something that's capable of shooting something down at that distance. So as much as many of us hillbillies would love to be shooting a Chinese satellite out of the sky, I don't think we're going to have that capability. But the big thing is, folks, is this looks like that it's number one, just a show of weakness on our part, and seeing what China can do. Now, I also have to look at this from another angle, is that this is all for just a big show. This is a big show that distracts us maybe from something else. It's a big show so that they can use some kind of justification for something further on down the road. I don't quite know for certain. But what I will say is that I would say that there's a whole lot more going on than what meets the eye. I suspect over the next few days, as it's floating around over the United States, you're going to see the internet just flood with people trying to get pictures of it, claiming that they saw it, all sorts of things. And maybe that is the distraction. Maybe there's something else going on. This is a weird one for certain, and I think it's just one more indication of what's happening, and that what is that we are building international tensions with rivals like China, Iran, Russia, North Korea, and so forth, and it doesn't look too good. Will this be something that sends us into some kind of World War III scenario? Most likely not, especially looking at our own military leadership that seems to be too cowardly to say, not on our watch. We're not allowing this to fly over. There's rumors that there's more than just this one. Canada their military released a report saying that there was two. In the last couple of days, they've been flying and tracking them, and there's a couple of them, is what it appears like. But I've not seen anything from the U.S. military confirming that. There's been U.S. planes, flying all around it, tracking it, they say. Why can't they just shoot it down? Is a big question, and no one really is getting a solid answer on that. I mean, it's not like it's in space. It's not going to hit the ground like a comet or something. It's going to, be blown apart, and once it reaches terminal velocity, it'll hit the ground. And I'm pretty certain that they're able to determine where that could be within several hundred yards or something like that. And there's plenty of space for them to do that. Bottom line is this just shows that there's a lot of stuff going on, folks. A lot of indication that global tensions are definitely rising. We are a nation that has been basically ruling the world. We've been the top dog for a very long time, for a century. And as cycles show throughout history, our time is coming to an end, and it looks like China is the one that's going to, take that reigning spot. At least they hope to. And we're going to start seeing more and more of things like this, where they are trying to poke us and to push us and to knock us off the top. And will we ever respond? Will we ever do any kind of retaliation? It doesn't look like it, at least at this point. We're going to Taiwan again, at least. There's rumors that the Speaker of the House is going to be going to Taiwan, and maybe even the Secretary of State. China has threatened against that, saying that they might divert that airplane from landing in Taiwan, just like they said that about Nancy Pelosi. It seems like you've got two people that are kind of on the weaker side of not being willing to step over the line and do what needs to be done to show strength. That's just the world that we live in, it seems. Everyone wants to talk and to, make themselves look great. But when it comes down to it, they're all a bunch of cowards anymore. And it's a shame that we live in such a world. I think that we need to, continue doing what we do. I mean, that's what this is. This is just more signs of the times that things are getting a little weird, and things are going down a path that's going to lead us to more chaos. I mean, that's just how I can look at this. A spy balloon over the United States. That's a different one. I mean, that wasn't part of the Red Dawn scenario, but I guess we'll take it and have some fun with it for a while. But the reality is I think the ones that are truly losing on this is the United States and the armed forces, because we look pretty weak. Just to say this, whether it means anything or not, I may not be the military and intelligence expert, but I do have connections within our group here of several people that have a very long military background and even some military and other intelligence background. And I've spoken to them because of this one thing. And no one can really come up with a really good reason as to why we would be allowing this to fly over us like this. So, yeah, fun times, big balloons, spying on us. It's going to be, if it hasn't already, going over the Whiteman Air Force Base here in Missouri, which has the stealth bombers. Looks like it's probably going to be going over Tennessee and into the Carolinas, Fort Bragg, places like that. But here's the thing. As much as we want to think that they're watching us and getting all this information, they already have satellites up in the sky, just like we do. And they've already seen, all of these places. So again, I think it's all for a big show, and it's probably going to, part of their plan that's going to lead us to another place in this whole political game that they're playing, folks. Wouldn't get too upset about it, other than it just shows that how weak we are, which is kind of disgusting. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order. It's time to prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.